Hello and welcome to English class. Today we are going to learn the fifth lesson from the book Vistas. The name of the lesson is Should Wizard Hit Mommy? And it is written by John Updike. Talking about the author, so he was born in 1932 and he was an American novelist, poet, short story writer, art critic and literary critic. He was one of the three writers to win the Pulitzer Prize for fiction more than once. Now, coming to the theme of the story, theme of the chapter. So, the story raises a moral issue whether parents should decide what the children should do or let the children do what they like to do. It also deals with child innocence represented by Joe and the adult perspective represented by Jake. Joe is like most children who dream and live in their own magical world. They are far removed from ugliness and petty differences. They are pure at heart. Jack invents stories and the plots he creates deal subconsciously with his own experiences and complexes. The story also deals with the theme that parents know what is best for the children, even though the children may not realize it. So, this is the theme of the story. Now, justification of title, why this chapter has been named Should Wizard Hit Mommy? So, the title is justified as the story revolves around the question of understanding. In the story, within a story, the daughter desires for an ending where the skunk is acceptable to his playmates. However, the father ended the story where the skunk's real self remained intact. The story is dealt with from several perspectives, the adult and the children. The title is an open question put to the reader to attempt an interrogation, analysis, and to give a verdict. The title invokes curiosity in the reader and attaches importance to the judgment passed as it would reflect the reader's understanding of systems. The author has deliberately left the title open ended. So, when you come to the summary of the story, when you understand the story, you will come to know why this chapter has been named Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Now let us come to the main characters of the story. So we have mainly two characters. So first one is Jack, who is the father of a small daughter. So Jack, like any loving father, tells stories to his daughter Jo every day to put her to sleep. As he is not very creative and imaginative, he keeps one basic storyline. While telling the story, he tries to dramatize and modulates his voice to bring the effect. He himself did not have a very happy childhood. At times, his own childhood experiences, complexes, miseries, humiliations are brought out through his stories. Our second character is Joan. We can call it her Jo, who is the daughter of Jack. So, Joan or Jo is a smart, pampered, loved but sensitive child. Like any other child of 4 years, she is fond of stories. She is innocent and loves the happy ending stories. She lives in her imaginative world of fairies, magic wands, miracles, etc., and is not prepared for any harsh reality of life. She feels pain for Roger Skunk when he is rejected by his friends. Fun, games, and peer appreciation mean so much to her. Now let us start the story. I'll tell you a short summary of the story. We have already covered this chapter in the live class. So just for a revision point of view, I'm telling you the short summary. So the story begins when Jack, who is the father, so Jack is telling stories to his 4-year-old daughter Jo to put her to sleep on Saturday evenings. So all the stories are made up by him, by Jack himself, and this process of telling stories, when did it start? It started 2 years ago. Now every story is a variation of the same tale and it starts with the same Roger animal. So whenever Jack he tells a story to his daughter, what is the main character of every story? The main character is Roger. And whatever animal he uses, he just joins that animal's name, like Roger Skunk, Roger Squirrel, Roger Cat, Roger Monkey, Roger Donkey, Roger Dog. So whatever he creates a story, he puts a same name everywhere, Roger. So he would go to the wise owl to solve his problems. Now, this Roger in Jack's story, the main character Roger, whenever he is into a problem, he goes to the wise owl, and the owl will direct him to the wizard who would do magic and solve his problems and demand money in return. So Roger would be short of money and would go to a well as directed by the wizard and will get the money from there and would pay him off. He would be happy to solve his problems and would play with his friends happily. His father would return on the train and the family would have a delicious dinner. Now that day, that Saturday evening, what happens is Joe wants it to be a Roger Skunk's story who smells very bad, and that is why no other animal wants to play with him. Skunk is an animal who smells very bad. Okay, so that day what this Joe demands, that I want to hear a story from you, father, which should be of Roger Skunk. So now he is telling a story in which Roger's skunk is an animal who smells very bad and no other animals wants to play with him. So they will tease him saying stinky skunk, and Roger would cry. So at this point Joe starts feeling connected with the character and she also starts crying. Joe insists on sending Roger Skunk to the owl. Like every other story, what does every other story's concept was that Roger or any character's name, he would go to the wise owl, and that wise owl would suggest that animal or that Roger to go to the wizard, and wizard would solve all of his problems and demand money in return. So now Joe insists on sending Roger Skunk to the owl. So this reaction of Joe surprises father and he realizes the growing changes in the child. Finally, the owl directs Roger Skunk to the wizard and he gets the smell of roses. Now when this Roger Skunk, he goes to the owl, wise owl. What did he suggest him? That go to the wizard and he'll solve your problem. When this Roger Skunk, he goes to the wizard, what wizard does it? What actually he demanded, what actually this Roger Skunk demanded, that I'm smelling very bad, due to which other animals do not play with me. So change my smell. So this wizard asks him, what smell do you want? So he says that I want the smell of roses. I want to smell like roses. So this wizard, he changes his smell to the smell of roses. Now Skunk becomes too happy and he runs into the wood. All the animals gather round Skunk and they all play games. Since he is smelling like roses now, so now every animal is happy and they come to him and they play happily. Now when this Roger Skunk, he reaches home, his mother is annoyed and doesn't like that smell. And she tells him that you are a skunk. You should smell like a skunk and not like roses. So she gets very angry and she takes him back to the wizard and hits him on the head and orders him to restore Skunk's earlier smell. She goes to the wizard and tells him that I want my son's smell back. So change the smell of my boy into the first one, into a Roger's Skunk's smell. Joe does not like this. Now Joe is hearing this story and she did not like that mother went to the wizard and she is telling to change the smell of this skunk. So she gets angry at the behavior of Roger's mother and she wants, what does she want? She wants the wizard to hit Roger's mommy. That is why the chapter has been named Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Why? Because Joe wants that in the story that wizard should hit mommy. Why? Because she does not like the behavior of mommy. But Father disagrees and defends Skunk's mother, saying mothers are always right. But Joe is adamant and angry. Joe argues with her father, but father exerts his authority as the storyteller and does not change it. So Joe is now demanding that I want that tell me a story, father, in which the wizard should hit mommy. Okay, so change this story a bit. But this Jack says that I am the storyteller. Whatever I say, that you will have to listen. Next day I'll tell you some other story. So finally Roger Skunk comes back home with his mommy, and gradually other animals also get used to his smell and start playing with him. Joe disagrees that this can happen and refuses to sleep. She wants another story in which mommy is hit. But Jack refuses and confronts Joe and threatens and orders her to sleep. He is in a dilemma because he knows that his pregnant wife is working downstairs all alone and he must help her. He feels trapped and uneasy, caught in a difficult situation. Okay, so this was all about this story. I hope it was clear to you why the chapter has been named Should Wizard Hit Mommy? So that's all for today's video. Until the next video, keep learning and keep recalling. Thank you.